Hello and welcome to Sports Talk, a wrap-up of the fall sports season at East Brunswick High School. Hi, I'm Ken Saroka, and I'm joined in studio by Chris Yannazzo, the Supervisor of Athletics for the East Brunswick Public Schools. Chris, now the weather does feel like fall. It's blustery, the leaves are falling down, so we can wrap up most, if not all, of the fall sports schedule here today.
Yeah, everybody is finished but football, who plays on Thanksgiving. But you're right, it's finally starting to feel like fall. We had a great fall. Usually we're out there freezing, but we've had some mild weather, and the kids have really enjoyed it. We had a pretty good fall season as well. And
we'll start with the boys and girls cross-country teams. We've kind of switch things up here. Usually we start off with football, but we'll save that for a little bit later. Cross-country teams, that is a sport that's really is growing. I see it. I mean, we have our traditional rivalries, but yet it seems like everywhere you go in this town about the time of the year, right after school, there's 20 kids running this way, 20 kids running that way, all throughout. I mean, this is a really good competitive sport for us now.
Yeah, so you're right. The boys and girls cross-country teams, and it's a grueling sport. You've got to really buy into not so much running is fun, but it's competitive. And they're out there to drop their times and beat the other teams. And you're right, the kids are out there no matter what the weather is, rain, sunshine, thankfully no snow, but they're out there and they're working hard. Our boys competed hard in the GMC and the Red Division, just narrowly missing out to South Brunswick. But they had, like I said, an outstanding season, placed well in the sectional, went on to the group meet, and just missed moving on to the meet of champions. But we got a great crew of young runners, as well as a lot of senior leadership that really helped to build this. And Coach Sundberg, Coach DiGiacchino, in his first year taking over for Coach Talbot, have really grown the program, and the kids have bought in, and it's just great what they're doing so far.
Now, most of our meets are dual meets, or is this kind of maybe an all-in kind of meet where you have 3, 4, 5, 10 schools running at the same time?
That's a good question. The philosophies have changed, where it used to be they run a lot of dual meets. You want to race to compete. And now the new school thinking is you want to race less, train more, and just train for those big meets that you have coming up. So a lot of our higher caliber runners don't run in those dual meets. It's more of like a JV race, and then they compete on Saturdays. They compete at the GMCs, the Red Division race, the sectionals, so they're only racing 7-8 times a year compared to the 15 times that they used to before. So yeah, the thoughts have changed, the philosophies have changed, and everybody thinks they've got that winning ticket to get these kids to where they need to be. But like I said, we had a great core this year, both boys and girls. Boys had 11 seniors. So that's going to be tough to replace. The girls had 9 seniors. Girls had a ton of injuries this year. Just couldn't put it together with all the girls being healthy at the right time. But they had some strikes of greatness, and they'll be good for years to come. Tonight is actually our all-division meeting. So it's going to take a little time. We'll get our all-division winners, all our conference winners at tonight's meeting, and then we'll get the kids the accolades they deserve.
Now, cross-country can run in the fall and in the spring?
Cross-country just runs in the fall, and then they run spring track in the spring.
So a lot of these cross-country runners who are used to longer distances, they tend to show up in the more endurance distance events in the spring track?
Yeah, 1 mile, 2 miles, where you'll see them in winter and spring track. And these kids, they train year-round. In between season, coach gives them off about 2 weeks or so to kind of regroup their bodies, and then it's all about miles that you're putting in and how long you can just continue to keep that up and grow your endurance. Take another 2 weeks off for spring. And in the summer, same thing. Those kids are racking up miles over the summer as well.
So you mentioned winter track, and I'm assuming, again, indoors. Again, more of this kind of all-in one big meet for everybody, or again, is there more of an organized dual meet competition?
So you say indoor. For meets, yes, but for practices, they're out there. You'll still see them running.
Yeah,
as long as there's no ice or snow out there, they're out there still training. But yes, it's more of a less dual meets. We run a couple scrimmages here and there to keep the kids competitive and going. But like you said, you can only do it in the bubble. The bubble down in Toms River is where all the meets are held. So they'll go to the GMC race down there. They'll go down to the sectional race down there, and they'll find some invitationals here and there to go to. So it's a tough, grueling to run in the winter, but they do it, and that's where these distance cross-country kids.
Well, that's good because they have the ability to do it over 3 seasons, really. I mean, to keep their sport, to keep their practice, keep their skills up for 3 seasons,
right?
And to see it, translate into these other seasons.
Right.
All right, so let's move on to the soccer teams here.
Sure.
Boys soccer first, 13-7-1 season for Coach McKibben. Good season or?
It was a good season for us. I would say the boys probably aren't happy with the 7 losses they have on there. But I'd say out of those 5 losses, they were dominating the game. We had such great skills with our kids. We lacked a goal scorer. And I think Coach McKibben will say the same thing. When you dominate an entire game and you have a defensive lapse and the other team scores, it's just tough to get that 1 goal back. But if you watch the game, you would think without a scoreboard that we won most of the games out there. Boys did a great job. We're the 3 seed in the tournament. Unfortunately, lost to an Old Bridge team who was very hot in the GMC tournament. But then the kids regrouped. I give them a lot of credit. They came back into the state tournament, in the sectional tournament. They were the 13 seed, I believe, and ended up making it to the sectional semifinals, losing to Hunter and Central in overtime. So you could see how much they've grown. They finally found a little groove where they were able to score some goals and just, took over with their dominating, foot skills out there and possession game, and scored some goals, made it to the state sectional semifinals as the 14 seed. So it shows how good our team was. Just we play in a tough red division, a tough conference, had a couple bad losses in there, and with the state seeding, we were down to 14. But shows how good our kids are, their perseverance. There were 9 seniors on this team. So a ton of leadership out there. We had some kids with all division and all conference honors. Zach DeRoja and Ivan Lankar were all red division, all GMC. And then Lucas Espada was our red division person. So they're losing a lot of senior leadership, but they are still very young. And I think Coach McKibben is excited about next year's team.
Well, you mentioned a lack of scoring punch there. Is this a matter of speed or skill or size? What does it take in the Middlesex, in the GMC, in the Greater Middlesex County Conference? Do you need a big striker in front, kind of like that in hockey, that big guy who stands in front of the net and draws a lot of traffic, or he can muscle his way around and tip in rebounds? Or do you need somebody who can speed burn from the sides, from the corners, get in and cause that kind of havoc inside the box?
That's another good question. Probably Coach McKibben would be a little better with that one for you. But every coach has a different philosophy on how they're going to set their strategy in the game. And you're right. Some do need speed down the side for crosses down in the middle. Coach McKibben and the boys were great at their set pieces, their corner kicks, their free kicks. Did a great job. Just had some kids that could really jump and wanted to attack the ball in the air. And we talk about a goal scorer. It was that person who was going to take it to the goal or just turn and fire and try and get it on. Our kids were a little bit more into the finesse game, receiving that ball, pulling it down, and finding a good pass and finding open spots. And I think, like I said, they did a great job, possessed a whole ton, just a little more aggression there to really go after the goalie and score some goals. And, we changed that season, take a couple of those losses, make them wins. And but like I said, I think the way they performed, losing in overtime to the number 1 seed, where they had some opportunities to win the game, shows how good they really were and what season they had.
Speaking about the sting of losing in overtime, as we transition our discussion to the girls soccer program here, 19-3-2 overall, GMC Red Division, GMC overall champs, but that overtime loss in states.
It's a tough one, but they lost in the sectional final, and they hadn't been there since 2001. This was again another young team. But they, 6 seniors, but a young core. They had their banquet last night. I was there, and Coach Brady was saying something about having 3 impact freshmen on the team. And that hasn't happened since Coach Barbado played. And he sees a lot of great things with this team. It's going to be tough losing the leadership of Lauren Krinsky in the goal, who's just an outstanding player. Sabria Glasgow, one of the top goal scorers. But they're going to see a lot of great things from this young team. And like I said, or you had said, the Red Division champions, GMC champions. They made it to the state sectional final as the 2 seed, losing to a Freehold Township team who was very good and just won their last game. I think it was against Washington Township. So they're a very good team who had great strikers, and we're actually winning that game with 3 minutes left. We're up 1-0, and they scored with 3 minutes left in the game, took us to overtime, and unfortunately, Lauren made a ton of great saves throughout the game. It was very exciting, just so exciting to watch, and the heart and the pride that our girls played with, it was just outstanding. And unfortunately, they scored in overtime and won the game, but our girls kept their heads high and understood that they played as hard as they could. They gave everything out on the field, and sometimes the ball doesn't bounce in your direction. Unfortunately, it didn't.
Maybe we take that for granted. You mentioned 2001 being the last time we got to this level in the state tournament. That over the years, just the number of victories, the successes since this program was founded, go back 25, 30 years, that we kind of almost assume that this should be like a regular thing. But is it the matter of other schools, other conferences catching up to where East Brunswick was or is?
I think it's a little bit of everything there. I think our girls expect so much because of the tradition that we have. Like if you go into our gym, we've got 3 full banners of girls soccer accolades. And we were actually co-champs this year in the GMC. And we were expected to win. So as being a co-champ, our girls kind of took that as a loss, put a chip on their shoulder, and I think that's what helped them get through into that state sectional final. The other teams are, there's a lot of club teams out there. A lot of, I guess, more girls are out there doing the club travel thing with their private coaches, and the sport is growing, and the skill level is growing. But it's not that we've taken a step back. I think the others are starting to catch up, and there are just so many teams out there, and everybody's very good. It's a tough competition out there, and our girls are always up top and competing for it. So I just wanted to mention our girls soccer accolades there. Sabria Glasgow got All-Division All-Conference. Madison Mandler, All-Division All-Conference. Lauren Krinsky, All-Division All-Conference. And Kayla Flynn, who unfortunately suffered a season-ending injury, was put on that All-Division team.
All right, so now we move to the tennis. And in this fall season, it's the girls' tennis team. Mm-hmm. Great season there, it looks like, 14-4 overall record.
Yeah, they new coach in Deb Mangino. New coach this year. They were 14-4, had another outstanding season, and they lost. Their 4 losses are to J.P. Stevens, who's a state powerhouse. They lost to South Brunswick once, then losing to West Windsor South, who's another state powerhouse. So they didn't have no slouch losses in there. They competed every time they were out there, and the girls showed a lot of pride. Only 2 seniors, I believe, so a young core coming back. All of first singles, second, third singles, and I believe our first doubles team made the state tournament, qualified. So it just shows how good we are in the state for them to qualify us in there, and our girls played outstanding matches while they were there, proving why they should have been there. So they got some accolades as well. Phoebe Sue, Lexi Roshkovan, and Amy Quay, all division, all red division, and all conference. So they've got some girls out there with a lot of talent and a lot of young girls, ready and willing to step in for those two seniors that left us. But there was great leadership, like I said, and Deb did a great job with the team this year with one of our volunteer coaches. And the girls are excited for next season.
And they have the opportunity. I mean, the weather was reasonable. Sometimes we get fall seasons where it's raining every week and their matches get moved or postponed. But this seemed to be like the one year where the weather was reasonably cooperative. Yeah,
it was great this year. We were talking last night with the other coach that we had just such a mild and nice fall. Not too much rain. The fields stay in good shape. The courts were in good shape. They continued to play. And with tennis, you can play every day. There's no rules on that one. So our girls were always out there, whether it was practice or playing, and excited to get to the end. And once you get to the end of the season, they're tired. They lost in the state sectional semis to that West Windsor Plainsboro South team. Tough, I believe it was a 3-2 loss. So it could have gone either way with one more match. But they really did play hard, and I give them a lot of credit being out there.
How are those new tennis courts holding up?
They're great.
That's what this is the second season now that they've been played on?
The second fall season, I believe.
Fall season, yeah.
I think the spring this will be the third spring. But the girls like them. There's a home court advantage, a little different feel. It's in between a hard court and clay, so it's a little softer bounce. It doesn't play as fast, but it's a great surface. There's no cracks, there's no bumps, there's nothing like that. You're going to get everything true, and people like to come down to East Brunswick to play.
You mentioned something that there's no limit to the number of no limits. We hear about limits when it comes to Little League pitchers going so many innings, so many days rest. You could schedule, if possible, schedule matches every day of the week?
You could. It probably wouldn't be the smartest thing to do for your teams, but you could do that. There are no NJSIA rules against the amount of times you can play during the week. And like you said, with rain, that really puts a stress on things. So sometimes when you do get rain, you do have to play 3-4 days in a week, and you can tell your team gets tired. You give them off the next couple days, and they come back fresh and ready to go.
Okay. We move now to the field hockey. 8-7-3 record, winning record here again.
Sure. So Coach Todoroff again with us, and 8-7-3, like you said. Callie Luftig in the All GMC team, just named last week. Kayla Silva, another senior, a goalie, who's going to go off to New Haven to play. So we had a good core of girls this year. 9 seniors. Real tough to lose 9 seniors. That's almost your entire team out there, since you only play with 11. So the young girls are going to have to come up and step up big for next year. Girls had, a little, I don't want to say an up and down season, but they beat Piscataway twice during the year, and lose to them in the GMC quarterfinals, and then have to see them again in the state first round. And they avenged their GMC loss against them in an overtime win in the States, moved on to play a very good Bridgewater team who's just perennial again, very, very good. Our girls did go out there, competed hard. Field hockey's a low-scoring game as it is, but I want to say that we had most of our losses were 1-goal games. We were in every game that we played, and it just, unfortunately, like I said, ball doesn't bounce your way all the time, but the girls kept their heads high. Coach Todoroff coached hard, and the girls had a good season.
And we take ourselves from outside to inside and downstairs in the underground subterranean gym for the gymnastics squad. 4-5 record for the girls.
So improved from last year. 4-5 record. Coach Murray, Coach Prisco was excited about this team coming in. Knew that they had a lot of improvement from last year, and they were going to be competitive this year, and actually they thought that they had a chance to make some noise in the GMC tournament. They did. They ended up, I believe, in 3rd. But that's another one. That's such a individualized, specialized sport that these girls are out with their clubs. There's 2 coaches down there, a ton of girls, 5 events. So there's a lot of moving around, a lot of skill that goes into everything. So, I mean, the coaches, the kids, they do such an outstanding job, and the parents to go down there, and we have our small bleachers in the lower gym, always filled, cheering the girls on. 4 seniors on this team. So they're, again, going to bring back a good core. Maggie McGlynn and Gabby McSweeney were named to the All-Division, All-GMC team. And I think everybody's looking forward to a good season next year as well.
All right, and now we keep our indoor streak alive here, partially, I guess, with the cheerleading squad, because they'll take over indoors for the basketball season here, but outdoors cheering for the football team. But not only that, they're involved in competitions too, and I think people tend to forget that.
Absolutely. Not only are they out there in all the elements with our football teams and cheering them on at games, but they do have their own practices for their own competition season. They have a GMC tournament there. Girls are a ton of fun, ton of spirit. We had our bear done out there, and they're always trying to get the group up and fired up and ready to go for our football team. But during the GMC competition, they did a great job this year. They took 6th in the game day and 3rd in competition. And their winter season is really where they gear up for their competition season. So I know Coach Olson and Coach Macedo is really getting these teams ready to compete for where they need in this competition season.
And again, the girls have 2 seasons to work on this, because they will be participating in the winter sports season as well. Do they cheer for wrestling?
They do not. We're one of the schools that we don't compete. We don't cheer for wrestling. We just cheer for boys and girls basketball in the winter, and that really does free up some time for them so that they can have their own practices. Yeah,
like I said, football is usually Friday night or Saturday afternoon, and I'm thinking, okay, well, you start putting 2 basketball games and 2 wrestling matches in the course of a 7-day week. Right. That would leave them little time to do their own work for the competitions.
It would be too much for them, and we understand how much the competition season means to them. So that's on those Wednesdays and Fridays. Mondays, they usually get a break to where they can really prepare for their competitions. Okay,
I'm going to skip ahead to the girls volleyball, and again a dominating performance for them. 18-5 GMC Red Division champs. And this is again one of these sports that East Brunswick seems to have every year, a really competitive team.
Yeah, this is again just like last year. These girls, Red Division champs, GMC champs, really made some noise in the state tournament. 18-5, outstanding record. And like I said, we were just very athletic out there. Coach Portera really working hard with the girls, and the girls responding to him, and kind of understanding that sometimes you need to be pushed to that next level to get to that next level. And that was one of the things that he preached, and I think the girls really took that to heart, that they needed to beat the best to be the best, and to practice every day like you're going to compete. So just walking through the gym, watching them compete every day, it was great. This is 5 senior leaders leaving. We're leaving two that actually, Jordan Horowitz, who got her 500th kill, which is a great accomplishment for a volleyball player, and Samantha Balsamo got her 1,000th assist. So these girls have been playing since their freshman year, and they've been working together as setter and hitter. So it's been a great tandem team there. Kayla Benes has also got her Red Division honors, along with Sam Balsamo and Jordan Horowitz got Red Division and all GMC team. So we were just a very deep team, great core, girls really exciting to watch in the gym, great crowds coming out. So a very, very, very good season today.
Let me just, Coach Portera, he played for us, right?
He did.
So this is the first coach, I don't think Coach Rutz played, because I don't think we had, I'm not sure.
He's not an East Brunswick guy.
No, I'm talking about Melissa Rutz.
She did play.
She did play, okay, all right.
Yes.
But here you have someone who participated in a time when our boys volleyball team was very dominant. And now coming to the girls' side, is that an extra fire lit under this team because you have a coach who understood what it's like to participate for East Brunswick in a highly competitive situation, demanding that kind of level of excellence? Is that an extra little advantage for this team?
I'm sure. And Coach Portera was, played for Coach Rutz. So he's kind of felt that competition, and he was in those state championship games, and he understands how to compete every day. And I think the girls take that, they understand that, this guy played in college, this guy played for EB where we were very competitive. Let's listen to what he has to say. He probably has some good volleyball knowledge. Let's put this to use here and take it to the next level. Two of those girls are going off to play in college. So they've learned some great things, and not only for EB, but their club teams as well. Like you said, it's one of those sports where we have that tradition at East Brunswick, and these girls really took it to the next level.
All right, and the last sport on our list is the football team. Didn't have exactly the record that we'd like to see, but just for the record, we did broadcast the 2 victories on EBTV. Yay, so we have those on, you could go down video on demand to see those particular performances. But a couple of the other games were really close. I mean, I can understand, going up against Sayreville, you're going up against Piscataway, South Brunswick. Those are going to be really tough games unless you're very talented and very well prepared and execute perfectly. But there were some games there that we left on the table, and I guess that's got to leave Coach Morlars a little bad taste in the mouth. Like, you had a couple of those games.
Yeah.
You could have easily won them.
You're right, absolutely. And playing those like you mentioned, the South Brunswick, the Piscataways, the Sayrvilles, our kids competed to the end in those games. And we really, other than a couple big plays, so the scoreboard shows a lot more points than the battle that was actually out on the field. Our kids gave a lot of heart this year, really prepared hard, and Coach Mullers and his staff does a good job in meeting all week to prepare their offenses and defenses. But you're right, we did leave some games on the table, and I think it hurts the kids a little bit to know that they just let a couple slip through their hands there. But again, it's a grueling sport. We wish we can get some more kids to come out for that team. It's a numbers game. The more numbers you have out there, the better off you are. There are a lot of injuries. There are things that happen throughout the year, but we love to get as many athletes out there and just to compete and prepare for their other seasons. So like you said, they were 2-7, 15 seniors within this group, so we're losing a bunch. They're, like you said, in a tough Red Division, the Shore Conference crossover game with Marlboro. We were able to win that game this year, which was great. But this team showed a ton of heart. And in our regional crossover game against Hunterdon Central, we're winning the entire game. And, that game of football, it's crazy, where a couple of small turns of events can get you, and unfortunately we lose on one of the last plays of the game. And I'm sure it was demoralizing for these kids, but they got to prepare for this Thanksgiving game that's coming up against Old Bridge. And, I think some of these kids got a little fire in their belly and want to take on the rivalry.
Let's talk about the Thanksgiving Day game, because when I was going in high school, there were lots of traditional rivalries that were played on or around Thanksgiving Day. The small schools, the big schools, they had that. This rivalry, though, between Old Bridge and East Brunswick on Thanksgiving Day game, I don't think it has that same kind of meaning anymore, or did it ever? I mean, I just get the idea that this game is, from a logistics standpoint, if you're Old Bridge and you're in the state tournament, you just played Saturday in a state playoff game, and now you got to turn around 4 or 5 days later and play East Brunswick. I know it's, you want to tune up and keep going, but are you going to put the same kind of effort into it, as you would? Is it going to be that kind of meaning? I
think as a player and a coach, you never want to lose a game. You're never going to not prepare for a game. You're never not going to put your best foot forward. Everybody wants to win. And when you're a competitor, you hate to lose. So going out there, it may not have the same meaning and that it's really for something, but what it is for, it's that battle of Route 18. It's that pride between the two schools, to try and get this victory. And yes, they're still competing in the state tournament, and they will have a game the following week. But I think Old Bridge wants to win as much as East Brunswick wants to kind of,
well, I mean,
take
for East Brunswick, I mean, this rivalry has been lopsided. To be honest, I mean, it has been since the two high schools, since Cedar Ridge and Madison Central, they merged. I mean, that rivalry has been very lopsided in favor of Old Bridge. Yeah. So for East Brunswick, it might seem a little more like, hey, this might be the one big victory. But for East Brunswick, they played on the 11th or the 10th, so they've got almost 2 weeks. Yes, they can prepare for it, but are they losing? Could they lose their kind of momentum or lose that kind of, oh God, we got to come back out here again? Yeah. After this season?
I'm sure they have a little bit of thought like that, but a lot of kids, they just want to play and they want to compete. They don't want their season to end. Some of these seniors, James Schultz out there, and some of these other seasons, Ryan Crocco and Tarnowski, they're all out there and they just want to play another game because they may not play in college. So for them, this is their last opportunity to play high school competitive football and throw a helmet on. So as much as there's not that drive so much as you're going to the state championship, you're playing the game of football on Thanksgiving, where sometimes people think that's when football should be played, on Thanksgiving. So we've got that opportunity, and our kids are going to put their best foot forward, and we'll be prepared and ready to go.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question that's going to be, is it well attended? I mean, is there that kind of juice? Is that kind of energy for these kind of games anymore? Or would this game be better served somewhere in the middle of October, in the middle of this season, in the middle of these GMC contests? I mean, you talked about, before we got on camera, you talked about how you can book now these other non-conference games before because you've got that Old Bridge game and then you also have to worry about the state playoff rankings if you lose to Old Bridge before versus the first 8 games versus not. But wouldn't it be better served if this really doesn't have that kind of juice anymore? Thanksgiving, nobody's here. The stands aren't filled in either stadium.
Right. I think it's something that we'd love to get the community out for, to kind of build that rapport and get some of the alumni back and come and fill the stands. Now, it's not as well attended as I'd like it to be, but it's been a beautiful day. Come on out, see the boys, and we're doing our senior night. Cheerleaders are doing their senior night or senior day. So there'll be some great announcements out there, and I hope people do come out, and I hope we can rebuild it a little bit, and we'll see how things go.
All right, and that's that advertisement or that commercial message there for to come out for the Thanksgiving Day game at J. Doyle Field. 10 o'clock in the morning?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock in the morning. We'd like to thank the EBTV technical crew for coming out. They support East Brunswick Athletics for coming out a couple hours before each game to set it up and to broadcast these games to you. For Chris Yannazzo, I'm Ken Saroka, wishing you all a very happy Thanksgiving season here and hope to see you at the game.